vediamo. Vai, scegliamo. Oh, right. So,
Come si chiama?
Marley.
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 Marley. Then we have his brother, Bob.
Bob Marley.
Bob Marley.
Bob Marley. Then we have four.
Oh, che belli. Sei marijuana, no?
Marijuana sheepdog.
Belli.
Pero, but I think this is a little bit more like a golden retriever, Labrador.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
so
yeah. We have a border collie, a German shepherd, and a Pomeranian. What?
I see that.
No, guarda,
No, no,
vuole
difficili
sì.
da solo cani comunque che hanno bisogno di
Lo so,
giocare, di
non me
stare
lo
lì.
dire a me.
Io adesso ho 13 anni che ho un Labrador Golden Retriever, sono molto più rilassati, tranquilli.
Bello. Allora, qui dove siamo? Where are we here? This
So,
is we're facing.
Now we are facing first of 6 hectares of total of 12 about our vineyard.
Okay.
So in this side we have all the red grapes, all about Sangiovese of these hills, and then we have a little bit more Merlot and Cabernet after the empty space.
Okay.
And sorry, Cabernet Franc and Cabernet Sauvignon, and then we have a little bit Merlot on the other side of the
Okay.
hills. But then we have 6 more hectares
Okay.
close to Panicarola that I think you know
Yes,
the places.
yes.
And then in that place we have more white grapes
Mm-hmm.
such as Sauvignon, Viognier and Incrocio Manzoni. That is a combination between Pinot Grigio and Riesling.
Okay. Oh, recent.
And
Okay.
Gamay del Trasimeno,
Bella,
a
buona.
famous.
It's really good.
Yeah,
Gamay, I
that's
love
really
Gamay.
good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but the background stories, the real stories of Gamay.
Go ahead, tell us again.
No, so wait, I'm gonna tell you after.
When we go,
Just to let you know
yes, yes.
that when we are talking about Gamay del Trasimeno, we are talking about a completely different grapes.
Yeah.
So that's the funny
Right,
stories
right.
behind. But of course, we are going to talk about that after.
Okay.
But so then, the property was built in the late 14th centuries because the land was bought by the Bayones families. Bayones families
Bayoni, sure,
was
from
one of the
Perugia.
most
Mhm.
exactly one of the most richest families of Perugia. They bought the land by starting by and so and after some years they finished to buy this other building that was been for about a couple of hundred years convent
Ah,
run
okay.
by Benedictine monks.
Okay.
And so, and of course, this is the rest of the building was built 15 years ago, more or less.
Okay.
Has been for about 14 years on a great risk, and then in 2017 we switched the property, and then we, of course, focused more on producing wine, of course, doing tasting. We have also agriturismo.
Right.
So we have 3 apartments on this side and a couple of more on that side. So we have
Nice.
space for about 20, 22 guests.
That's nice.
25 if you're really friends.
Yeah.
But then of course you can actually rent just one
Yeah,
apartment.
right,
So
okay,
each
okay.
apartment from this side is about 70, 100 square meter.
Okay.
So
That's
4,
a pretty
5
big,
person.
Yeah, yeah.
Then we have one more bigger in this side. It's about 200 square meters.
Nice.
And so for a big family,
Yeah,
for a
yeah,
large
yeah,
family, then also
absolutely.
possibly.
It's nice.
And of course, we include the
pool.
free access to the pool and the tennis court. We have a small lake that can be actually used for fishing.
Oh,
We
okay.
just use for watering our garden.
Right, right. So what kind of fish do you have in
Oh,
there?
we typical
Trout.
carpa,
Carpa.
and so yeah, but
Okay.
just for
Yeah,
just for
they're
fun, let's say.
Well, they keep the pond clean.
Exactly. We have also some goose that
Okay,
they
okay.
they surf free, and they swim free, and then and so biologic since
Okay.
2017. So the
Oh, so
first
you
things we did,
certified.
yes,
Okay.
we was switch to biologic, but of course for the Italian regulation we had to work in this way for about first 5 years.
Okay.
So after I'm going to show you on our wines, on our
Okay.
labels, that we can't use the certification until 2022, but
Okay.
we were already biologic.
Right.
Because
So
of course-
organic, they do
Yes.
everything organic.
And then And then so now
Yeah.
we are going to take a look of motor pub that was built
Okay,
in the late
sure.
14th century, and actually inside there's still some frescoes from that
nice.
period. Because of course this is one of the last 6 or I think 7 last original church. Of course, not all the building is original because we built,
Well, yeah.
but we have this amazing wall that was fortunately saved.
Oh,
It was
look at
plastered,
that. Yeah.
and so by that
It was covered in plaster.
is covered with exactly. And then and so for this reason it was saved by time until Tuscan painters in the beginning of 19th centuries comes, start to scratch the surface and reveal all of this. Because you have to think for about 500 years this wall was completely covered
In
like
that
this.
gray. Oh my gosh.
And the funny part of these walls that is actually you can see there is 4 different levels of frescoes.
Wow.
Because of course in the past this was used for usually the first levels was done for let's say to see the quality of the wall.
Right.
And the one after come just was attached on. So for example, those are the typical scratches made by the artists of the period for putting a new one. And then we know that those frescoes was done by the Caporales families, father and son. They were both students from Pietro Vannucci, the Perugino, and he was also student from Botticelli. And so by this we can actually see
You can
how.
see a little bit of influence of Botticelli in
Exactly.
this and this.
And another funny thing, another nice thing that is we can see the evolutions because this one was done in the beginning of 14th centuries and that one was done 15 years after.
Wow.
And so we can see the evolution.
Yeah.
Before that they used to have more flat imaging
Right,
and with the Pietro Vannucci of course they start to have more perspective
Yeah.
way. But of course, step back, I forgot to say, everything was started by this. This is the original edicula from the 13th centuries, because of course Panicale was already there in the 13th centuries, and this is a typical passage for a pilgrim, And so this is our Lady of the Milk, or Madonna della Querciolana, and this is actually from 13th centuries.
Wow.
And the church is still consecrated nowadays.
Oh, okay.
Of course, we are not interested in a wedding event or this kind of event, but of course, if
If
somebody
somebody wanted to do it, they could bring the priest and
exactly, they just need the permission from the Vatican State. Of course, we are just the keeper.
right.
And so, if people want to come to visit, they just need to ask for not for permission, but just because if we are not here, we need to open
Right,
the
of
gate.
course,
Just for
yeah.
this.
Well, it is a consecrated church, like you said. So.
Exactly. And as we said before, another particularity of this church that was run by Benedictine monks. In Italy, of course, in Umbria, we have 2 famous classes that actually you probably know. You know about the 2 classes of monks in Umbria?
Okay. No.
Okay, so in Umbria we have the Franciscans and the Benedictine.
Right.
Of course, Franciscans they used to work more by charity, so they lived by charity.
Right.
Benedictine, they were actually farmers, so we know that we work the land for the Baglioni. Of course, our vineyards are pretty young than before because this is about 12, 15 years old. But of course, we have some note that they were already trying to produce
some wine.
exactly. And of course, all the olive trees that surround the property are actually from
that time.
yes.
Wow.
Someone of them, maybe someone is a little bit more younger, but some we know that is a little pretty young. We have around.
But you also do olives, olive trees, so yeah.
We have
those are probably
around 1,000 plants,
oh,
and
nice.
so we have also our production of olives. So before we leave, it's cold inside. Sorry. So please. All right. So this is actually the place they were usually pray and they were usually study and eat. And of course, I liked to play with my guests, especially not Italians. So I have a question for you. Would you like to guess what those nails were used for in the past?
Oh God, no idea.
Oh, so if you want, madame, you can also make.
What the nails were used for in the past.
Yeah, let's say that in some way, in some places, they were still used by farmer.
I would say they used it to hang meat to dry.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
He's
Yeah.
a farm boy.
Exactly.
From Missouri.
This is a typical test that I used to do to my guests to see
Yeah.
how they like Italian. But
Yeah.
yes, of course. And then of course, as
The
you can see,
sausage hanging.
this is probably also used by the ex-property, and so probably those marks are the proof that something
Yeah.
is hanging, and so
Over there
something was
Dripping.
Yeah.
It's embedded grease.
Well, it's cold enough in here that
Oh, yeah.
it refrigerates stuff.
Yeah.
That's why.
I mean, that's how
Yeah.
you keep it.
It's
Yeah,
very-
that's
It is.
why that we think that Benedictine monks, they were actually really smart because they
Well,
used
yeah,
to
I mean,
they used to
Yeah.
do these smart things.
Yeah.
Of course, you have to think that all of these walls are not original anymore.
Right.
And of course, just the wall, but you have to think that those are the original size of the door of that period because of
Right.
course there were no light, no electricity, and no
Right,
fire.
so they have to keep the
Exactly.
rooms small.
And then
Yeah.
for this was also
Yeah.
the best places for doing this operation.
Huh.
And so, last but not least, this is actually an old, really old painting, probably between the 15th centuries. And actually, we don't have a lot of information about
Okay.
it because let's say that it's hard nowadays to understand, to know, because
Right.
you actually need someone really knows
An
about it.
expert, yeah.
For example, we started by thinking that this one was the Saint Benedict,
Okay.
because of course you can see the
Right.
angel, and so we thought it was a representation just because it was run by Benedict.
Benedict's mom.
But from last research, we probably found out that there's actually another saint called Filippo Benizzi,
Okay.
and he was actually living here. He was a serf he works from Benedictine, and so we actually think that is a representation of him. The only things that we like to say about that is actually how 95-96% of paints should look like in a museum without restoration.
Okay.
And so we just found here, we actually know that it was moved probably from some Farnese's families,
Okay.
families from North Italy, because those are actually the line. Because when it was
Oh, it
folded,
was
folded.
Yeah.
and unfortunately, probably we think that probably this one was the upper part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone suggests also that maybe someone's
Might have
decides
scratched
decides
out.
to ruins because
Yeah.
yes, because usually this is the site where we can actually recognize some more
Yeah.
information,
Right.
the signature of the
The
artist.
Right.
signature,
In
yeah.
fact, this all about some
Wow.
stamp and signature from church, from Vatican,
Right.
from the families, and so we just actually think that we're probably gonna live here and he's gonna stay here as long as.
Yeah,
possible.
yeah. I mean,
All right.
beautiful.
We are not yes, we are not for now interested in touching because we understand that needs something really.
Well, you
And-
need to get somebody, an expert or
Yes.
somebody out here to.
Yes,
to
just
verify,
because
yeah.
we think that the first problem will probably be moving outside from this.
But everything here in this room here is protected by the arts.
Yes, of course.
By the
course.
national
Yeah, yeah,
arts.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And so, so yeah, this is
So if
actually.
they wanted to, they could come and get this
Of course,
and
of course,
study
of
it.
And another thing that we like to share that, of course, always because someone told us we are not
Yeah.
experts, but this space was probably done by different artists
Okay.
in a different period because, as you can see, the details of those angels are a little bit more than this site. So
Right.
we expect the things that was probably worked in a
A couple
Well,
of people,
yes.
yeah.
and a couple of artists and maybe in 10, 12 years because it's probably between end of 14th centuries, beginning of 15th
Wow.
centuries.
Pretty,
But so
pretty
this is
amazing.
just- and so,
All right.
alright, if you
Okay.
want, we can move. Of course, while you're taking the video, if you want to take a picture.
Yeah, I didn't push it.
Of course.
I am, it's cold, yeah. I'm getting cold.
Important mention. Did you see the small roof on the top of the
Yeah,
house?
yeah.
That is actually our pig house.
Oh, you
We
got
like to
pigs.
say that because
Okay,
each
yeah,
years
no,
we-
we like pigs.
We
They're
share
tasty.
our land
They are
with
tasty.
exactly for
Yeah.
about 1 year, and then they evolve.
Of
Yeah.
course, they did.
Yes, just say that because once we say unfortunately we have to kill it, but someone doesn't like it.
That's too bad.
Yeah, I understand. I'd be like to say
No,
that.
but-
The circle of life.
But no, it is the circle of life.
It is, yeah,
If they could, they eat us.
yeah. They would too, they can.
Sorry, those will it's original
Okay.
from that period. Of course, as you can see, was
The well.
restored and it was probably rebuilt, but it is actually quite deep.
Yeah, it's deep, yeah. Well, you're up high here, so yeah, they would be able to go all the way.
Have you already seen some local cellar? Or,
Yeah. Poggio Santa Maria, Madre Vite, Poggio ai Chiari, yeah.
Yeah. Lamborghini,
okay,
Lamborghini,
sì.
Morani.
Marami,
Yeah.
yeah.
We went to Montepulciano, we go get della Stella,
Yeah.
insomma.
We were visiting this region for a couple of years before we bought a house here,
I think if
So
you
we that's why we used to come here almost twice a year.
twice a year.
Before we decided to move here, because we
Okay.
wanted to make sure that this was the place.
Yeah,
right, nice.
Oh, it's nice and toasty in here.
okay.
That's the Dino.
Diciamo mai come l'altro giorno, perché l'altro
No, l'altro giorno si era nevicato, ci ha lasciato un po'.
So since I think you already know about cellar and things, so I'm not going to explain.
No, it's okay.
But of course, think about that. This where we likes to say where the magic happened.
Yes.
Because of course, this is the first things that we actually do after harvest.
Right.
We move the grapes from this side. This is our press. As a biologic cellar, we cannot use chemicals. So,
Right.
for example, once we start harvest, we usually start in half August till half September, depend by the years,
The weather,
the
yeah.
weathers of course. And so we put the grapes inside this machine, we close and we add dry size. Dry size that is actually carbon dioxide,
Right.
and so it is 90 degrees less, minus 90 degrees, and so it's helpful because killing all the bacteria and then the evaporation don't let the oxygen, the air to go in, and so prevent the oxidation of
Right.
wine. After that, through a pipeline, we move on these big stems just for start fermentation. 1 week, 10 days for white grapes. That then where we use just a few drop of sulfite.
Okay.
So each 100 liter we can add 1 gram.
Okay.
And so, for example, we don't recommend our wine for keep it longer. And
Right.
so it's ready to drink, to be
Drink,
drinking in a
yeah.
couple of years.
Yeah.
And then different stories for red, because of course we left for about 45 days, sometimes even a couple of months. And then we produce also rosé.
Oh, yes, I saw.
We produce the rosé by gummy grapes. That is
Mm.
actually we
Okay.
found really interesting as a grapes. And then, but our rosé it's really bright. It's not like the typical rosé because we left in contact for less than 1 hour.
Okay.
So just 30 minutes maximum of
Wow.
contact, and then we separate the juice from the skin, and of course we put in the tank.
Is that what's in that? Is it rosé in the jugs, or is that? It's dark, so it's hard to see.
Oh yes, of course. For example, you're probably going to see some of this bottle all around the cellars, because of course we use for, especially in the cellar, for the barrique for refilling the,
Right.
Yeah.
the barrique.
But the reason I was asking it looks kind of orange to me. It's
Yeah.
it's almost, it's got an orange tinge.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
more
a
like
dark-
onion skin. It's like
Yeah.
Well, I wanna taste that.
Yeah, sure.
But the nice things that we like to do, as you can see, we have also a lot of these small stands
Right.
because we like to do the separate vinifications of all different grape. But from this vinification, we can also do minimum 3 different press.
Okay.
And so each press gives each different
Right.
taste and different things. And so after that, we like to when we have to rebuild, when we have to combine together, we actually like to use different cut for making the best
That's interesting.
quality
Like
of
a nice
wine.
blend, yeah.
Because of course, as a small seller, our production is not really much for the potential of
Right.
the vineyards,
Right.
because we have around 12 hectares where we produce just 25,000
Oh,
bottles
that's
each year.
nice, okay.
And so by this, we like to say that we cannot guarantee the same taste of the
Right,
wine every
right.
year, but we're trying to make our best for making the best quality.
Right,
So we like
so you
to
only put out the best.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so for this reason, another nice thing that you are not going to see in our label, the percentage of wines. So
Okay.
you are going to see, you are going to read which wine, which grapes are in the wine, but we don't know in which
Right, you don't
amount,
know what percentage
yeah,
of
percent.
Merlot
Exactly, because
and
maybe
Cabernet,
one year,
as
yes.
I said.
For example, this year was actually a pretty nice weather for Sangiovese,
Okay.
but in the last 4 or 5 days we actually had a little bit too much rain. And so since the berries of Sangiovese are actually a little bit more bigger than usual grape, with rain, if it's not drying in a few
Right.
time, they start to be soaked. And in that case, since we don't use machine, but we do everything by hand, if it's soaked, we just cut it off and
Right,
we left
drop
it
it,
on the
yeah.
ground. Yeah. And so, of course, I'm not going to tell nothing about that, but of course we have a special cellar for this.
Okay.
Those are actually just some concrete stand, but were used by the last property.
Okay.
Nowadays we use just for parking wine.
Okay,
Wine with-
yeah, while
Yeah.
you're moving it around.
Exactly,
Okay.
because inside it's made by a plastic wax material, so
Okay.
the wine actually doesn't.
No, so you don't
change.
leave it there long, you just,
Exactly.
it's a vessel, you just,
And of course we use for the wine that we don't use for our productions.
okay.
And so we sell it without label. Because
Right,
as
right.
probably you know,
Yeah.
it's still typical, the
Yeah,
local
yeah,
farmer,
it's
the
like the
local
one that you
family
buy, you
comes.
just buy that, you
Yes.
bring your
Bring
your
your
Dami
own
John.
jug.
Yeah, exactly. The Dami John. Okay, so then if there, yeah, and then if the places where the magic happens, this is actually where our dreams come true. Because of course this is not really typical to see in small cellars. This is actually our bottling machine.
Okay.
Of course, as you probably know, in this area, especially in Umbria, we still have a guy who comes with a truck with this kind of machine inside. But they usually ask for a minimum 8,000 bottles each
Okay.
per day.
Okay.
As we say, our production is less than
20,000,
so
you know, it's
maybe-
easy, so.
for example, this one we did last month, and as you can see, each pallet contained around 500 bottles.
500, 460,
So
yeah.
we can actually made maximum 2,000 bottles per day.
Yeah.
And so it was actually
It's
an
better to
animal-
have your own machine.
exactly. And so of course, and so we prefer to buy our own machine. Of course, you have to think that this is actually the last passage. Before that, we used to let the wine in a barrique or in a tank for 8, 10, 1 year, couple of
Yeah,
years,
depends
depends.
on the.
Of course, when the wine is ready, because another funny thing is about people asking, what's the best, what's the
Year.
secret
Oh,
to know how the wine is ready? We like to say we don't know, but he know, the wine knows. So
The
when
wine
it's
knows.
ready, they tell us. He told us. And so, always through this pipeline, we move the wine inside these tanks. We left for about a couple of hours just for resting, and then through this pump, we put it inside. We eject inside this machine that is actually a filter that we fill it with a cellulose paper
okay.
with a different size micron for better filtration, and then always through this pump we put the wine inside this bell. We clean a little bit with azoto,
Azoto, it's like it's
nitrogen.
there's a nitrogen.
Nitrogen, no?
Yeah.
And so, bottle starts from this side. We fill it with wine. We add a cork. This we put a capsule, and
Okay.
the last part is
the label.
So that is actually what we were doing yesterday. Of course, we missed one label, but the final products should be like
Right.
that. But I don't know if you see on the table, we have also some bottle that we like to close with wax.
Oh, okay.
And that is actually not because it's something different, it's just aesthetic,
Okay.
but has a small cellar. This is actually our instrument for doing that.
You make your own wax.
Yeah, so we just
You make
keep
your
the
own
wax. When it's really melted, we dip the bottle inside for a couple of seconds, and then we
And then
like
you have
to
your little.
little
That's cool.
stem. That is actually pretty small on this side, but if you want to see better, you can see from
Right
this.
there. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, that is actually the stamp of Perugia. So the griffins
Right,
of
the
Perugia, this
griffin.
is the tower of
Yeah.
Panicale.
Yeah.
And so by this, of course, if you have knowledge about stamp, you can actually know that La Querciolana, you can find it in Panicale, that is actually under the municipality of
Of
Perugia.
Perugia, yeah.
But of course, this is just,
Yeah.
you know, an Easter egg. diremmo.
Ok.
Allora, prego signori, abbiamo quasi finito così. Dopo che ubriaco un po'.
Sì.
Spero non abbiate impegni,
No.
cioè a breve termine,
No,
nel senso,
no,
comunque
no.
a noi ci piace anche
No.
parlare.
No, we're not in a rush.
No.
Non abbiamo scadenze, quindi non
No.
abbiamo. Alright, so sorry for the light, but we actually decided to let it up,
Keep it dark.
yeah, keep it dark, yeah, because of course it's better for
That's
the
right.
wine. And so this is actually our small barrique cellar, barrique rooms, and all of these small ones are 96% are from French,
Yeah.
French oak, Taranto and San Martin. We just have a few of Hungarian
Yeah.
that we use for making the passito. For example,
Okay, for the
this one,
sweet wine.
the sweet wine,
They
exactly.
use Hungarian oak.
So as you can see, the small damigiane that we were talking
Yeah.
about before, we left all here around because as you can see now, all of these barriques are full.
Yeah.
But of course, I don't know. Have you ever seen something like
Yeah,
this?
yeah,
So do
yeah.
you know who invented that? Because the funny question is,
They told us at the one, I don't remember though, when we were in Montefatto, they told us, I don't remember.
it was a really great inventor from very
Leonardo.
was it Leonardo da Vinci?
Da Vinci.
And then and it's really helpful because by these things you have to think that once we put wine inside and we close it, we cannot open that side
Right.
until
Right.
we're ready to move the wine for putting the bottle or for
Right.
moving it on the barrique. But so by this we can actually see the levels of wine, and of course they still from the dry sides prevent to air to go inside
in,
and
airlock,
prevent the
yeah.
oxidation of
Yeah.
wine. And of course now, as you can see, the level of wine is full. But maybe, if, especially in the summer, especially in the winter now, because liquids go to shrinks,
Right, shrinks.
we left those small bottles because just in case we need, we
You can
open, we
open
lift
it up
the
and
top part.
And you take out a little bit.
Exactly.
Top it off.
Exactly. We refill it, and then
Yeah.
and then we are sure that wine it's okay. And so those are actually from Slavonia.
Okay.
And so with those we usually work for about 12, 15 years. This one is actually a little bit less because we actually start from white for a couple of years and then a couple of years after we move to red. And so after 4, maximum 5 years, we cut it off,
Right,
we
you gotta do
beautiful
bigger, yeah.
pot flowers or some tables,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
exactly. So if you want, sir, open the door because I actually
Oh, we're
want
going
to
that
show
way?
you something. Yeah,
Okay.
of course. Because this is let's say, I guess now, sorry.
Oh, it is, yeah.
But this is a typical terroir from
Oh,
this
yeah.
this
So this is
area. Yeah, because
This is what the ground, underground looks like, the
exactly.
terrain.
But the funny things that is actually that this looks
Seashells.
like rocks, but it's actually it's clay.
Clay.
So it's really easy to break, and of course it's really easy to work with.
Yeah,
And it actually keeps us nice humidity and
Yeah.
for the
I
garden
bet.
and for the
Yeah.
soil.
Sure.
cool.
And of course you have to think that we are more or less a couple of meters away from the church, so we are actually under the
Underneath,
garden.
yeah, almost
the
underneath the
garden.
church, yeah.
Exactly.
Cool.
And of course, all of these areas is open, so especially in the summer, we left open, so it's nice,
It
nice
aerates
air.
it,
Yes.
yeah, nice.
Usually, this is, I don't know if you see, but all the cellars have air conditioning on it. This is the only one that we don't use it, because in summer usually it's around, no, we don't need it. Because in summer it's around
Yeah.
14 degrees.
Oh, yeah, that's
maybe,
nice.
Maybe something less.
Yeah.
As you can see in the winter, it's actually not really cold, not really hot. And so, this is just the last part of the tour.
All right.
Of course, we have
Very
things that-
nice. No, I mean, and it's, you know, it's the attention to, every winery is a little bit different. I mean, the process is the same, you know,
Yes.
but every winery sets itself up in a certain way, given where they are. You know,
course.
you have to make the most of the building you're in, the area you're in. So like you said, you let that open, you let the air in. So
Oh, no.
when we went to Querciolana, they have that, they
Oh, wow.
underneath
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
underground, you know, so they keep it there.
Let's say that the real potential probably of this places was discovered a little bit after. I mean, because also this that is actually looks a little bit old, like it's actually from 30, 40 years ago, maybe
Yeah.
less. And so they start to invest probably a little bit late, or probably
Right.
probably the last property was more focused on agritourism.
Right.
Because actually we know that where they produce their own wine, but it was actually one red, one white, and
Right,
maybe
they were just
rosé.
doing for small.
Exactly, they were
Yeah.
just doing
Yeah.
for the guests. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen,
Okay.
let's say that theory is finished.
All
So
right,
if you have
perfect.
some
You
questions,
did really good.
Yeah.
I just realized that I just forgot to say that since last year's, let's say that now is a beta version of Spumante, we are trying to
Oh, okay.
producing some Spumante.
Spumante,
Of course,
hey,
we cannot
why
call
not?
it champagne, and we actually producing by Gamay grapes.
Oh,
Also,
wow,
because we
interesting.
really like
That's
we really like this
interesting.
grape.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's an Blanc de Noir,
Okay.
but it's working in a method classical way. So we actually this bottle was actually from the 2020s vintage,
Okay.
and so that's also why we usually
Interesting.
ask if you know why Prosecco and Metodo Classico are so there's so many difference for the prices. I mean,
Right.
because of course Prosecco it is actually ready in less than 3 months.
Okay.
Metodo Classico usually needs
Takes a little bit longer.
takes a little bit more longer. All right, if you want to enjoy and you want to take a picture, maybe
Yeah. Yeah,
of
absolutely.
course. Just in case, that's gonna be your places.
Okay. We
so-
can sit over there.
Of course.
Okay.
Okay, so
All right, we look at the,
yes. So
Yeah.
if you want for this